So now it's time for my list of the 5 best cartoons of 2016, and man, this list was really hard to put together because, like I said in the top 5 worst video, 2016 was a really good year for cartoons, so it took a lot of debate as to what's going on this list and where I was going to place it, but eventually I came to a decision and here we are. So once again, the criteria is these are new shows. New shows that premiered on US television in 2016. So Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Rick and Morty, etc. not on the list because they didn't premiere in 2016. But reboots count because I consider those new shows. Also, I didn't mention this in the top 5 worst video because it wasn't relevant, but for the first time ever, I'm allowing web series. Yes, I believe we're finally at that point where I can allow stuff that premiered on Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, or whatever. And you'll see why. Also, keep in mind that I haven't seen everything that came out in 2016. I've still yet to see Troll Hunters on Netflix. I've been hearing mostly good things about it, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. Maybe I will and do a late Rob Watches on it. So just keep in mind that these are all shows that I've seen. So before we begin, let's talk about a few honorable mentions. So I want to give an honorable mention to Mighty Magiswords. I think maybe in my video I was a little too hard on this one. It's not a great show, but it's certainly not a horrible show. If there was like a midpoint between the best and worst list, I think it would be right about there. I watched it a little more, and you know what? It actually did manage to squeeze a laugh or two out of me, so I guess that's something. Another honorable mention I want to give is to Bunnicula. Yeah, remember that show? What happened to it? I think I only saw like 8 episodes on TV, and then it went away. I even went to find out what happened to it, and I couldn't find a credible answer. I kept hearing it's aired on Boomerang, but I never saw it on Boomerang. I heard that it was airing overseas, but eventually it would come to the US, but it never did. It just kind of vanished. I did hear that a lot of people who like the books didn't like it very much, but that Ruby Spears standalone cartoon that they did years ago, that was pretty accurate to the book, and I'll be honest, that was boring as hell. The TV show was actually really funny. But whatever happened to it, I do hope we see it again someday in some form. But it is Cartoon Network, so I'm not going to hold my breath. So let's get right into it. Number 5 is Justice League Action. Yeah, I really wish I could put this one up a lot higher on the list, but it was the newest show from 2016, so I think it needs a little bit more time to achieve maximum greatness. In the last video, I was complaining about how superheroes don't feel like superheroes anymore, or at least in the form of animated television shows, but Justice League Action came along and kind of made it feel right again. Also, the show has a really good balance of seriousness, action, and humor. Because you can do that in a superhero show and actually have it be good. What a concept, right? I don't really have much else to say about it because it is so new and I got a lot of my thoughts out in my Rob Watches video, so be sure to check that out. But the show really was great and I can't wait to see more of it. Number 4, Voltron, Legendary Defender. There it is. The first online entry in one of my lists. This is an example of a reboot done right, because they took a show from a long time ago that people really liked, but was still kind of silly and ridiculous and kind of low budget, and they made it awesome. I love that even though this is Voltron, they're spending a lot of time focusing on the characters, because it helps them feel developed and it helps people identify with them a little more. I love all of the updates they did. I love all the new looks for everything except for the blazing sword, which they need to fix. The voice actors in this are great. The animation is great. They got the team from Avatar to work on this. And I really love what they did with Pidge. Spoilers. Again, I really wish I could put this up a lot higher, but there were only a few episodes that came out and the ending was kind of unsatisfying. But new episodes are coming. In fact, they may or may not even be out by the time this video goes up. Had there been more episodes, I would have put this up a lot higher, but just like Justice League Action, it has not reached maximum greatness yet. But it's going to get there. Number 3. Number 3 is One Punch Man. I've said many times before that I'm not really a big fan of anime anymore, or at least the anime that's come out in the past 6, 7 years. But every once in a while, every year, maybe every 2 years, one comes out that I really do end up liking. And I watched the dub on Toonami this year, and yeah, I like it. It had a great sense of humor, it had a lot of fun and interesting side characters, and I like the character of Saitama. He's a very interesting deconstruction of superheroes. I was actually going back and forth with this and Voltron to see where I was going to place them, and I think what it came down to was the way each season ended, because like I said, Voltron just kind of abruptly ended, and even though there's going to be more episodes coming out, it felt very unsatisfying. But with One Punch Man, they actually had a climax that they concluded. And while they did kinda leave off abruptly, it wasn't so jarring that it felt unsatisfying. It felt more like you're just ready for the next season. And that's really what it came down to. So One Punch Man. It's the second time I'm putting anime on my list. God, I feel dirty. So we're down to the final two, and, well, there's really only 2 shows left. This was hard. This was very hard. I was debating this more than One Punch Man and Voltron. I went back and forth on these 2 shows so many times that I think I lost count. I guess it is a testament to how good the year was when a Nickelodeon show and a Disney show are going head to head for best. But after careful consideration, I finally came to a conclusion. And again, it was close. Number 2 is The Loud House. This show has a great sense of humor, and it was heavily inspired by a lot of comic strips like Peanuts, Family Circus, and I think I saw a little bit of Dennis the Menace in there. All the characters are likable and memorable. They had a great Christmas episode too. But you know what the best part is? This show is beating SpongeBob. Yeah, we finally found someone to dethrone that little yellow bastard. You know, I may not have any siblings, but I can definitely get behind this show. So here's to The Loud House lasting multiple seasons. Unlike Harvey Beaks, but we're not going to get into that. And in case you couldn't figure it out, number 1 is Milo Murphys Law. Now, this show only has a few episodes out so far, which kind of put it at a disadvantage to The Loud House. But I feel like those few episodes that came out left a very big impact. I was very worried that this show would get very repetitive very quickly, but they actually managed to keep it interesting. They mixed things up a bit. They introduced a lot of side characters that we can follow. I love it when they do a show within a show, because they have this like Doctor Who parody that all the kids watch, and if that was a real show, I would actually watch it. I think the one thing that put this over The Loud House, or at least for me it did, was the sense of humor, because both of these shows have a very different sense of humor, and they're both very good, but I think I prefer the kind that Milo Murphys Law has, because there are a lot of very witty jokes and comments, and a lot of great visual gags. I love me some good visual gags. Also, it's great that the show has Weird Al in it, and it seems almost unfair that I have to debate this over other shows when this one has Weird Al. It seems like it's cheating. But yeah, I love Milo Murphys Law. Dan and Jeff, you did a great job. You struck gold again. Keep up the good work. Well, that's my top 5 favorite shows of 2016. Leave a comment below and let me know what show was your favorite. And stay tuned for the top 5 best animated movies list.